Want to take a peek at Ford's concept cars over the years? That's our Techstination. I'm Fred Fishkin. Joining us from Ford is Archive and Heritage Brand Manager Ted Ryan. Good to see you again, Ted.
Good to see you as well. And this is an exciting one. I've been waiting to announce this for about a year now. This is a culmination of a year's worth of work.
Well, it looks like fun. And it's at the Ford Heritage Vault, concept cars. Give us the overview.
I will. So the Ford Heritage Vault, which we've talked about before, and it's the source for Ford images and brochures with more than 12,000 images and brochures in there. Every make and model that Ford has produced just about around the world. And I'm excited to announce that we are adding about 1,600, actually 1,702 brochures and photos of our concept vehicles, all the way from the quadricycle in 1896 that Henry Ford built before we even had the Ford Motor Company, to the classic concepts of the 50s, the Futura, which later was turned into the Batmobile by George Barris, the customizer, the Gyron, a three-wheeled concept vehicle, the Nucleon, who wouldn't want to drive a nuclear-powered vehicle? So these beautiful concept vehicles were Ford's creative designers' ways of expressing where they thought the automotive future was going to be. So we've added 1,700 images and brochures of our concepts over the decades, and I think people are going to be excited to see them.
You've mentioned a few. What are some of your other favorites here? I mean, I think it was a 1962 Gyron
Yes,
that's pretty. It looks like something that came down from the sky.
You know who designed that too was the one of the designers was the guy that later went on to be the set designer for the movie Blade Runner.
Okay.
So these concepts they vary over time. So in the 50s they're very futuristic looking. In the 60s they become a little bit different. They become more offshoots of the vehicles. Like there's a Kilimanjaro Bronco that essentially they took a Bronco and imagined what the ultimate Bronco would be for the plains of Africa. And in the 80s, you get classics like the Probe. Who could ever forget the Ford Probe, which we did not just one concept of, but four, which was a study in aerodynamics. We did them in the 90s where it would feature more performance side of the Ford business. And one of the interesting ones is the U260, the Bronco concept that was done about 2001 that actually has a lot of resemblance to what the Bronco is today. So the designers who worked on that imagined a futuristic Bronco in 2001, and we borrowed from that concept when we built out our current Bronco. And that's the beauty of a concept vehicle is it lets the designers express their imagination. The one we did last year was the L100. It's in there too. It was the Lincoln 100, and it was what the future of luxury can look like. So 1,700 beautiful pictures of concept vehicles over the years.
And there were some, I think, more than one with the gull wing doors.
Yes, the gull wing doors, and one of my favorites when you go in and look at them when it's live is the Aurora, which was a station wagon that had a bench sofa in the back seat instead of seats. So instead of two rows of seats, it had an L-shaped sofa. It had a refrigerator, it had a television, and it had an early version of a GPS. And this is all 1960. I think it was 65 that the Aurora was done. And you see some of that same kind of thinking today with the EV vehicles, where you have all this new additional space. So what can you do to make the customer ride easier and more comfortable? Well, one of our designers actually sent me a note asking for details on the Aurora. So no telling how it'll show up, but these concepts, they are the imagination of the future.
Is there any data about how many of the ideas have actually made it into production?
We don't have specific data like that, but for Lincoln 100 celebration last year, we celebrated the 100th anniversary. There was a car that was called the Lincoln 100. It was one of the concepts done in 1953 celebrating the 50th anniversary of Ford Motor Company. And the Lincoln team did a concept vehicle that had 100 different innovations in it. Things like an electric shaver, and this came to fruition, a rain sensing windshield wiper. Well, what do we have in our cars today? Rain sensing windshield wipers. So we tracked, and out of those 100, more than 50 of them had actually finally made their way into vehicles. Now, built-in electric razors never did, but telephones did. That car had a telephone in it, and the GPS did. It had a map system. So more than half of those 100 futuristic ideas from the L100 made it into future vehicles.
And the great thing is that you encourage, Ford encourages, I guess, this kind of thinking.
We do. It's a challenge to the designers, and it's a challenge to the auto community. And Ford's not the only one. Believe me, GM and Chrysler and Jeep have all done beautiful concept vehicles. In fact, concept vehicles used to be the stars of the auto shows. When you would go to an auto show, you would expect to see the big three with their flights of fancy and their beautiful concept vehicles. It's not so much anymore, where the auto shows are more of a showcase for upcoming vehicles, but it's a point of pride for the designers to have a say in the concept vehicle. So last year, Lincoln introduced the Star concept in Hollywood with Matthew McConaughey, unveiling it, and it was a concept of what a luxury battery electric SUV could look like. And later in the year at Pebble Beach, we unveiled the L100. So there's still a lot of power in revealing a concept on the concept lawn. And as a designer, you've made it if your concept is the one chosen.
And of course, it's all lots of fun as well. Tell us about the popularity of the Ford Heritage Vault. Really been amazing.
The Ford Heritage Vault, I've got to say, Fred, when I launched it, it was an idea that was 3 years in the making, and permissions and working with legal, and we knew it was going to be, I knew that people would like it, but the numbers are staggering. We had more than 2.25 million searches take place in the vault in the month of June. Since we launched it, there's been more than 13 million searches take place. 275,000 plus people from 175 countries have conducted 13 million searches and downloaded more than 3 million pieces of content. And that's not something that I ever would have expected. I would have thought that Mustang fans would have gone in once, downloaded their Mustang picture, and it is free for your viewers and listeners. It's free. You can download high resolution versions. We ask you to not put them on coffee cups or t-shirts, but you can print them and put them in your garage or use them in a student paper. But I didn't expect the return traffic for people coming back month after month to do more searches. Within the web world, our average time on site is almost 4 minutes, and our bounce rate is about 27%. And those numbers are insane. So essentially, if somebody finds their way to the vault, they're typically spending about 4 minutes on the site downloading the content. But we know, because we've seen it in the stats, that people have spent hours on it. When somebody gets in there and finds something they like, and we let them. I mean, that's the joy, is that as an archivist, this is like asking me to see pictures of my kids. Of course you can come in, of course you can download. And that's why I'm so excited that with these concepts, we're going to open up a completely new category so that friends and family, or friends and enthusiasts of Ford Motor Company, can now go find their favorite concept, and they can download a high resolution picture, or the best thing, Fred, are the brochures. Like that Aurora, there's a brochure that spells out all the details and is written in that beautiful Jetson futuristic language of what the future could be for automobiles. So there's more than 100 plus brochures in there that will describe these concept vehicles as well.
Is there any category or one or two things that have really attracted the most attention, or is it pretty balanced?
The brochures attract the most attention, and then the pictures of the expected vehicles, the Mustangs, the Cougars, the muscle cars, but the brochures are what we're seeing are the most downloaded. For example, if you I owned a 1977 Mercury Capri, and I can now go download that brochure and remember what the vehicle was like. And then for the enthusiast, if you're restoring a vehicle, these brochures are proving invaluable. We've gotten fan mail from people that are so excited. And it's like, oh my goodness, there's an archives@ford.com email that's attached to the vault. And we're getting people writing us saying, oh, this is fantastic. I was able to find my color name, which is now letting me paint my car its accurate color. So once again, as the archivist at Ford, we're so excited about the popularity of the site.
Just terrific. The site again is fordheritagevault.com. Ted Ryan, thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you, Fred. And I hope your listeners and viewers will enjoy all this new content. I get giddy when I go back through these concept pictures. They're just beautiful. And it will evoke a different time. Regardless of what decade you look in, it's going to be evocative of a different time and feel.